So, hi everyone. I just wanted to take a couple of minutes. I had this thought that was whirling around my head, and I thought I wanted to share that with you. And it was this thought: don't give up. Don't give up. I think in life, when things seem overwhelming or things seem challenging, one of the first things that we feel like doing is giving up, throwing our hands up in the air, resigning ourselves to circumstances. And sometimes we just want to surrender and give up. But I really felt in my heart today that God just dropped this word into my heart, that don't give up. And there are at least three things in the Bible that jumped out at me where it tells us not to give up. And the first thing it says is don't give up doing good. And we find this in Galatians chapter 6 and verse 9. It says, let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. I think sometimes when we look around the world and we see man's inhumanity to man, and we see what people do to one another and how there is such division and such conflict in our world today, sometimes it can make us feel, if we do good and if we try, what difference is our small amount of good going to do in have an impact on the vastness of the world right now? And I think that God would speak to us today and just say, don't give up doing good. And when we look and we see all the things that are happening in the world today, I just really feel that we need to keep being generous, keep sowing, keep noticing people, keep sharing the love and the grace of God. That we should keep being those people who are willing to go out of our way to share of our time, our treasure, and our talent, and just to share something of the love of God. You know, in Jesus we have something called the gospel, which literally means good news, and I think people are desperate to hear good news in this time. So I'd encourage you, don't give up doing good. The second thing that jumped out to me from the Bible was don't give up meeting together. And there's this great verse in Hebrews chapter 10 and verse 25. I just read it. It says, some people have got out of the habit of meeting for worship, but we must not do that. We should keep on encouraging each other, especially since you know the day of the Lord's coming is getting closer. And I think for a lot of people with the pandemic and with churches being closed down, some of us have formed a habit of doing other things on a Sunday morning. And I don't think for most people, they've woken up one day and said, do you know what? I think I'm going to stop going to church. I think we've just got out the habit. We've been used to kind of watching church online. We've been used to kind of having a different rhythm on a Sunday. And I actually think now is the time to call people back. You know, we as pastors, we're not obsessed about getting people in buildings, but we believe that there is something spiritual and dynamic that happens when the family of God comes together to worship, to pray, to have some teaching and enjoy time together. And I would just encourage you right now, as part of your new rhythm and some of your new habits in 2022, is that you start resurrecting, if you like, this habit of coming to church. We've got lots of space at Harvest City. You'll receive a very warm welcome. We'll communion going on this Sunday, and continuing some great teaching and some great worship, and you can spread out and be safe. But I would encourage you, start with a brand new habit for you and your friends and your family, and start getting back into the rhythm, that spiritual discipline of getting to church, getting amongst the people of God, and being encouraged spiritually. So I would encourage you in that second way. And the third thing is this, is not to give up praying. There's a great chapter that you find in Luke chapter 18, starting at the very first verse of that chapter. And it actually reads, then Jesus told his disciples a parable to show them that they should always pray and not give up. And then he tells his parables about prayer. And I think when it comes to prayer, sometimes we've been praying for the same thing for an awfully long time. But my encouragement to you today is not to give up. Last Sunday at church, we talked about this idea, but I was talking about how I grew up in the north of England. And one thing that we used to do is we used to throw all these rocks into a river. And we'd throw enough rocks so that eventually it would come right to the top, and it would literally change the course of that river or that stream. Most of the time they weren't that big, right? But there were times where we would throw those rocks into that river and nothing much would happen. But yet there would become a time when we wouldn't always know that we would throw that stone and it wouldn't sink to the bottom, but it would stick its head out of the water because it was the top stone or rock on top of that pile. And I think it's a bit like with prayer. We're trying to change circumstances. We're trying to change the trajectory of the way in which circumstances and situations are going. And we're praying that God is going to change. And we're praying that God would act and that we would see a breakthrough through our prayers. And that's what Jesus was constantly encouraging us to do. But the truth is, sometimes we could pick up that rock and decide we're going to throw another prayer rock into the river. And maybe it's going to have an effect, maybe it's not. But then there can be a time when we throw that prayer rock, and that is the final rock. It only needed one more rock to stick its head out the water and change the trajectory of the top of the current of the water. And maybe for some of you today, that's where you're at, that God is encouraging you to pray. And he's encouraging you to pray one more time, because it's going to be that next prayer that you never know. Your breakthrough could be coming with that one last rock that is thrown into the river of life. And so I would encourage you, don't stop praying. Even if you've been praying for the same thing, keep on praying, keep on believing, keep on trusting God, because you never know when breakthrough is going to come. And I just want to finish by just saying that we have this prayer course. And so we're going to be starting this prayer course next Wednesday, which is the 19th of January. It's going to be at 7 p.m. And we would love for you to be part of that. And so this is for people who are brilliant at praying and for those who are really struggling in their prayer life and everyone in between. We're going to be talking about what does it mean to learn how to pray that will help you to receive more of the peace and the presence of God in your life, and help you to just integrate prayer as a natural rhythm of the part of your day. And we think it's going to be really, really helpful. So if you would like to know more about that, you can just email the church office, info@harvestcitychurch.com, and we would love to give you the details for that. So as I conclude today, I just want to give you that word of encouragement. Whatever's going on in your world, whatever's going on in your life right now, do not give up. God bless you.
Your kingdom come. Your will be done. Amen.